I was gonna do a video talking about some theories for Final Fantasy 16, but over the past couple days, I've noticed that a lot of other people have been putting out theory videos, and a lot of their theories kind of line up with my theories. We don't have a whole bunch of information to go off of to kind of dive into weird theory crafting holes, so I think I'm gonna hold off on that, try and not step on anybody else's toes with who Joshua is and Ifrit and the Shiva dominant stuff like that. So we'll wait till we get some more information to do our own theory crafting. But in the meantime, I wanted to talk about this right here. So if you don't know, Tokyo Game Show is going on, and yesterday we had kind of Square Enix's big Final Fantasy XIV presentation with Naoki Yoshida himself, who is the producer of Final Fantasy 16, and we got a couple of tidbits of information about it, as well as something from Jason Schreier, which kind of hints at a possible release date, which we'll get into in just a second here. But let's take a look at this article from WCCF Tech. They say, headline, Final Fantasy 16 reveal trailer was meant to show the actual game. More info on world and characters to come next month. So this is pretty big, pretty cool, because we did hear from, I believe it was Takai, or maybe it was Yoshida, that said the next big information would be in 2021. But it's nice to see that according to this, and seems like Yoshida himself, we will be getting some smaller, probably just actual text information, maybe not necessarily a trailer, but they talk about a website here that will be going up that will show off things like the world and the games. So, or not the games, the characters. And the first thing that pops into my head is hopefully we will finally get a name for our protagonist, right? Right now, he is just kind of a guy, protagonist, protag-kun. Other people have given him different names to go by just to recognize him. But if we get an actual name, that'd be pretty cool. We only know Joshua right now. That's the only name out of all the characters that we've seen that we know. And it kind of gets you wondering, how are they going to name this guy, right? We've seen Final Fantasy characters go for a real fantasy vibe in their names. Like we have Lightning in 13, we have Zidane in 9. Like these are not traditional names that you would think of necessarily. Titus. So if we have a character like Joshua, who is definitely just a not standard but classic medieval type name, English royalty sounding, what's the name of our protagonist going to be? Are we going to get something along that line, or are we going to get something along the Final Fantasy vibe line, like something with a Z? I'd be very unsurprised if our protagonist's name starts with a Z. I'm throwing it out there right now. That's going to be my prediction, that his name, whatever it is, because we literally have nothing to go off of except pure guesswork, I will say it's going to have a Z in it. That's my prediction. But that's actually what I'm most excited about for this this information website next month. But anyways, let's take a look at this. Apparently, people are talking about the graphics of Final Fantasy 16. I think it looks great. I'm not a big hyper-realism, graphical fidelity nerd. So if something looks good, I think it looks good. But apparently, the graphics are going to look better. They already well aware about the comment about Final Fantasy 16's graphics, and they kind of said that the graphics are not finalized and that they're still going to be working on them. And for the trailer, they wanted to show footage representing the actual game instead of the reveal just kind of CG type, which is really cool, because that shows an internal switch in Square Enix's mentality about announcing games, right? This is the first we saw of Final Fantasy 16, and instead of us getting just a CG trailer and then the logo, we get a full-blown character, gameplay, world, story lore, and then the logo, right? So it's really cool to see that they prioritize showing the actual game. Number one, like I said, showing a shift in their internal strategies of PR marketing, and also showing that the game is very close to being done. And we will jump over to this article here, also from WCCF Tech, that kind of hints at that as well. Final Fantasy 16 has been in development for a few years, and it may release sooner than most people think. So, Jason Schreier, who now works for Bloomberg, but is, if not the biggest name in video game journalism, actually went on a podcast and talked about Final Fantasy 16, and we have the quote here. I've heard from people who are familiar with the game's development that it has actually been in development for at least 4 years in some capacity, so it's coming sooner than people think. That's awesome, right? Based on what we've seen, we kind of looked at it, the trailer, and you can tell that it's definitely far along, but to hear that it's been in development for around 4 years is great. We look at the past Final Fantasy games that Square Enix has made, specifically Final Fantasy 15 and 7 Remake, and both of those games took about 3 years to develop. So I know that Final Fantasy 13 versus 13, 15, whole 10-year debacle, and 7 Remake was announced in whatever 2014, 2015. But when we look at the actual development time, versus 13 became 15 and basically rebooted development in 2013, it was released in 2016, and then Final Fantasy VII Remake basically scrapped everything from CyberConnect 2 in 2017, was released in 2020. So we're looking at about a 3-year time window for games to be developed by Square Enix. And if we're looking at 4 years of development here, that's definitely a good sign. And now, of course, that includes things like planning and scenario writing, stuff like that. So full-fledged development, we know we at least have a full year on that based on the old job listing by Square Enix back in April of last year. So if we have Jason Schreier here, who is definitely a reliable source saying that we've been looking at development for around 4 years, that definitely shows that the game is on its way. And I would not be surprised, given the past timelines for games from Square Enix, if we see this game release. I don't know if I speculated in my initial video about Final Fantasy 16, but I'm going to say it right now. I think we can get this game as, I'm going to say even as late as holiday 2021. They say the next information dump is going to be in 2021. Maybe that's when we get it. They say it's coming out summer 2021. You know, give us, maybe that's when they give the release date, and it's only a couple month window. That would, I mean, that's a pipe dream there for Square Enix. But given what they've done here with just the release of the trailer and how they're handling it, it's not too out of this world to think that. So I'm gonna say it right now, based on this, we will get this game in 2021. Protagonist name will have a Z in it, and that's kind of all I got in terms of comments on this story. Like I said, once we get some more information, we'll go into a little bit more of theory crafting, just for the fun of it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about the naming scheme that they might go with for these characters and the world itself. Give me your best guess for what you think the main character's name is going to be. And I think that's it. That's all I got. Just a little rambling about some news. Tokyo Game Show in Japanese. Can't really confirm that Yoshida said this stuff himself because I don't know Japanese, and I was watching through the Square Enix live stream and there wasn't really any subtitles in English. So hopefully your reporting is correct, WCCF. I trust it. A little bit of confirmation bias here, but I'm excited. More information coming. Let's do it.